Welcome back to my YouTube channel. We explore the most fascinating stories from the world of numismatics and uncover the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight. Today we're diving into one of the most jaw-dropping, mind-blowing discoveries in coin collecting history, the 2007 D1 cent coin that has shocked collectors and investors alike by skyrocketing in value all the way to a staggering $202 million because of the wild combination of its mint errors, historical context, production anomalies, and the almost mythical rarity that has caused even the most seasoned numismatists to rethink what is possible in modern US coinage. And if you're wondering how a single penny minted in 2007 at the Denver Mint could ever reach a value that eclipses some of the world's rarest antiquities, let me take you on a journey deep into the story behind this copper-plated zinc marvel, which, by all logical assumptions, should have been just another ordinary coin in the ocean of billions. But fate had something else in mind, and as we delve into the anatomy of the coin, we'll discover how a combination of striking errors, die misalignments, double dies, planchette flaws, off-center strikes, rare transitional metal traces, and a potential mismatch die event not only resulted in a coin that defies conventional classification but also elevated it into a class of its own, setting it apart from its contemporaries with an aura of mystique that cannot be replicated, starting with the fact that the 2007 AD penny was minted during a critical period in U.S. coinage history when the U.S. Mint was ramping up for the 2009 Lincoln bicentennial redesign and therefore began experimenting behind the scenes with tooling, dies, and metallic compositions that might have introduced undocumented variables into the production lines. And what makes this particular 2007 D cent so enthralling is the fact that it features a curious blend of both modern and transitional traits that should not coexist. On a coin produced during this year, namely, under microscopic analysis, the coin revealed subtle but unmistakable doubling on the obverse lettering, particularly on the "In God We Trust" motto and the date itself, which would normally be consistent with a double die obverse error. However, further inspection revealed that the doubling was accompanied by a severe die deterioration, suggesting that a worn master die had continued in use beyond its intended life cycle, causing irregular impressions that morphed the facial features of Lincoln into a slightly ghosted, warped version with shadow-like effects across the cheek and jawline that make it distinct from even other era coins of the period. And adding to its allure, the coin also exhibits an abnormal die clash, an event where the dies strike each other without a planchette in between, leading to raised ghost-like images from the reverse design appearing on the obverse side, with a phantom memorial building subtly peeking through the lower portion of Lincoln's shoulder, a phenomenon that is not only rare but exceptionally well-defined in this particular piece, providing evidence of extreme pressure mismanagement or miscalibrated strike force at the Denver Mint during that run. And if that wasn't enough to excite seasoned collectors, the coin also carries an anomalous composition reading, traces of pre-1982 copper alloy showing up in metallurgical scans, implying that either a transitional planchette somehow made it into the 2007 batch or that leftover stock from earlier eras was mistakenly used during a brief window of material crossover, a possibility that is almost unheard of in modern times given the tight controls at minting facilities. And yet this coin seems to carry the fingerprint of that anomaly, with a weight variance that puts it just slightly over the standard 2.5 grams expected of a post-1982 copper-plated zinc penny. And then there's the off-center strike, not so extreme as to obscure the coin's identity but dramatic enough, by about 15%, to misalign the obverse and reverse margins and shift Lincoln's bust visibly eastward, causing the letters in Liberty to nearly vanish off the edge while creating an oddly beautiful crescent of blank planchette on the reverse side. And this kind of visual quirk appeals strongly to collectors who favor eye-catching error types, particularly when they are found in conjunction with other rare traits. And speaking of which, perhaps the most startling feature of all is the presence of a rare die break known as a cud, a raised lump of metal that appears over the rim near the 2 o'clock position, causing partial obscuration of the WE in the motto and forming a bridge of metal that further distorts the legend and confirms the die used was suffering from extreme stress and fatigue, a condition not often seen on coins that actually make it into circulation, yet this one did. And what's more astonishing is the provenance of this coin. First discovered in circulation by a casual collector who initially mistook it for post-mint damage but wisely consulted a specialist before deciding to keep it, and after years of appraisal, certification, and increasing recognition among elite collectors, the coin's fame exploded following a high-profile feature in a televised auction where it shattered all prior estimates and fetched $202 million after a heated bidding war among institutional collectors, private investors, and even representatives of numismatic museums, and what's perhaps most fascinating is the number of theories that emerged afterward to explain how so many errors could coexist in a single coin. Some believe it to be the product of a rogue mint employee experimenting with dies for training purposes. Others argue it's a product of freak timing when several quality assurance systems failed simultaneously, while another camp insists it may have been struck on a leftover foreign planchette intended for another country's coinage, thus explaining the off-weight and odd color under certain lighting conditions. And though none of these theories have been fully verified, they add to the legend and mystique of the coin. And then there's the cultural effect this coin has had in reinvigorating interest in Lincoln cents, sparking a surge in submissions to grading services as hopefuls search their pocket change for anything resembling the infamous 2007 D specimen. And while many 2007 D cents are indeed ordinary, the presence of minor errors such as filled dies, slight off-centering, or die cracks in other examples has ignited an entire wave of micro-collecting focused specifically on this year and mint mark, and the story has also ignited conversations about how many such error coins could potentially exist but remain hidden, unrecognized, or even discarded due to lack of awareness, which speaks volumes about the untapped treasure potentially sitting in coin jars, cash drawers, or old penny boards across the country. And from a market perspective, this coin sale has shifted how modern error coins are evaluated, pushing grading services to reconsider how they classify and tier composite errors when multiple significant anomalies appear on one specimen, especially when supported by physical diagnostics like metal analysis, die clash mapping, and strike force studies, all of which have been conducted in rigorous detail on this particular coin, leading to a forensic-style coin breakdown that has been published and peer-reviewed in several major numismatic journals, thus securing its position not just as a valuable item, but as a critical study piece in modern minting anomalies. And this level of scholarly validation further fuels its monetary worth, giving confidence to high-stakes buyers who value both rarity and documentation. And even now, years after its discovery, the coin continues to influence new minting procedures and quality control upgrades, as the US Mint has reportedly referenced the 2007 D incident in internal documents regarding die longevity and strike calibration, making it a teaching example within government circles as well as among collectors. And with only one known specimen confirmed to exist bearing all of these compounded traits together, DDO, die clash, off-center strike, die break, unusual planchette weight, and possible transitional metal residue, it's no wonder that the coin has reached mythological status in numismatic circles, often referred to as the Ghost of Denver because of the eerie visual effects produced by the layered errors and its near-miraculous emergence into the public domain. And while many modern coins are minted by the billions with machine precision and low margins of defect, it's moments like these, rare, unexplainable, and steeped in technical intrigue, that keep the world of coin collecting vibrant, surprising, and endlessly fascinating. And so if you're someone who enjoys the thrill of the hunt, the possibility of discovering that 1 in a billion coin that turns your humble penny into generational wealth, keep your eyes open, pay attention to the small details, and never underestimate the power of a simple cent, especially one minted in 2007 with a little d under the date and a whole universe of errors waiting to be decoded. And as always, if you enjoyed this deep dive into numismatic mystery and million-dollar mistakes, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more incredible stories of value hiding in plain sight. And who knows, maybe the next big find is already sitting in your change jar right now. Next 2003 D1 cent USA coin become treasures, change turns into fortunes, and history reveals its secret million-dollar surprises. Today, we're unraveling one of the most remarkable stories in modern numismatics, the unbelievable case of a 2003 D1 cent coin that defied all odds, transformed into a multimillion-dollar phenomenon, and is now valued at an astounding $198 million due to a stunning combination of rare mint errors, production mishaps, metallurgical anomalies, and the numismatic world's fascination with the unexpected and unrepeatable. And if you've ever thought that a modern penny couldn't be worth more than a few cents, let this serve as a monumental example of how even the most overlooked coin in your pocket could be hiding a legacy of errors, secrets, and staggering value. So buckle in as we take a detailed journey into the creation, mystery, and explosion in value of this phenomenal 2003 D Lincoln cent, a coin minted at the Denver Mint in a year when everything was supposed to be routine, ordinary, and automated to perfection, but instead became a year that gave birth to a modern rarity so complex, so layered with technical and visual anomalies, that it now stands as a crown jewel in private collections and a reference point in grading circles and numismatic scholarship, and it all begins with a simple yet catastrophic set of events during the production process where misaligned dies, improper die installation, deteriorated hubs, foreign planchette anomalies, and possible transitional composition contamination combined into a perfect storm of minting mayhem, creating a coin that features a myriad of distinct and incredibly rare errors all trapped on one single fluke specimen. And as we analyze its composition, the first thing that catches expert eyes is the odd coloration, unlike the typical reddish hue expected from a copper-plated zinc coin of the post-1982 era. This penny exhibits a subtle golden brown shimmer in certain lighting conditions, a property usually inconsistent with modern US 1-cent coins but consistent with known cases of transitional planchette use, where blanks from other intended coinage batches, sometimes even for foreign contracts or leftover bronze planchets, accidentally get fed into the wrong coining press, and metallurgical analysis confirmed traces of pre-1982 copper alloy and even marginal nickel presence, which some speculate could hint at a composite planchette left over from experimental batches. Or even early Sacagawea dollar planchets recycled or misallocated, and that alone would give this coin rare status. But it doesn't end there, because the strike itself tells a visual story of misalignment and malfunction, as the obverse image of Lincoln is noticeably off-center by approximately 18%, pushing the portrait toward the rim and cutting off the tops of some letters in Liberty, and shifting the date precariously close to the coin's edge, while on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial appears slightly skewed and compressed, suggesting a striking misalignment in both horizontal and vertical axes, and accompanying this is an intense die clash anomaly where the dies struck each other without a planchette in between, transferring ghost-like impressions from one side to the other, and in this coin's case, parts of the memorial's columns and steps are faintly imprinted onto Lincoln's coat and jawline, creating an eerie shadow image that numismatists find captivating and highly collectible. And if that weren't enough, there's also a severe case of doubling on the obverse lettering, particularly in God We Trust and the date, pointing to a double die obverse, an error that results from a misalignment during the hubbing process when the master die receives more than one impression in slightly different positions, creating distinct shadows or echoes of design elements that are visible under low magnification. And this doubling is sharp, clean, and pronounced, meeting all the diagnostic criteria used by top grading agencies to classify it as a significant DDO, and adding yet another layer of rarity is the presence of a dramatic die crack that runs diagonally across Lincoln's forehead and into the field, forming what collectors have nicknamed the Scar of '03, a feature unique to this coin and a telltale sign of a deteriorating die pushed well beyond its safe usage threshold. And near the rim at the 3 o'clock position, a cud is visible, a raised blob of metal, caused by a piece of the die breaking off and allowing metal to flow into the void during striking, and it covers part of the word trust, making it read oddly as TRU__, which gives it an immediate visual appeal and makes it a memorable piece even for casual collectors. And let's not forget the planchette anomalies detected during microscopic analysis, fine surface bubbles and ripples that suggest improper plating or heating inconsistencies, pointing toward a defective copper plating process, possibly due to contamination in the plating bath or insufficient bonding during the heat treatment stage. And these imperfections, though minor individually, when combined with the already extraordinary series of mechanical and compositional errors, create a veritable symphony of minting mistakes that make this coin essentially one of a kind. And what makes the story even more enthralling is that this coin was not discovered in some high-security vault or controlled roll release, but rather in the wild, in a simple batch of circulated coins examined by a hobbyist with a magnifier who at first thought the coin had been altered or damaged post-mint until he submitted it to a local coin shop for review, which then escalated the inquiry to a certified numismatist who quickly realized the magnitude of the find, and after months of testing, grading, and provenance confirmation, the coin was officially certified by a top-tier grading service as a unique specimen of extreme value and exceptional error type, and its sale at a private auction stunned the collecting world when it fetched $198 million, shattering previous records and triggering a modern-day gold rush among collectors, dealers, and investors eager to comb through their own holdings in search of other 2003 D anomalies. And what's particularly compelling about this case is how it demonstrates that even coins minted in the 21st century, long past the golden age of US coin production, can still yield phenomenal rarities due to human error, mechanical fatigue, and unforeseen variables in the mass production process, and since the discovery of this coin, dozens of minor error examples from the same year and mint have surfaced, showing everything from minor die chips to weak strikes and misaligned reading patterns, suggesting that 2003 AD may have experienced a systemic set of issues at the Denver Mint that year, possibly due to overworked machinery or transitioning staff and tooling cycles, and this has prompted experts to re-evaluate entire mint reports from that era, seeking clues as to how such an incredible mistake could pass through quality control. And while none of these other coins have come close to matching the singularity and complexity of the $198 million piece, the mere possibility has sparked a resurgence of interest in early 2000s Lincoln cents, an era once overlooked now re-emerging as a fertile ground for treasure hunting, and collectors are now paying premiums for any 2003 AD coins exhibiting even a hint of irregularity, hoping to find the next major anomaly, and grading companies have responded by updating their classification criteria to better identify and log composite errors that previously may have been dismissed or inadequately labeled, and the academic side of numismatics has embraced the coin as a case study in minting failure and rarity convergence, with several white papers and lectures delivered at major conventions dissecting the coin's every imperfection and its implications for minting processes, coin design resilience, and collector behavior. And more than just a physical object, this coin has become a symbol of the unpredictable magic of numismatics, a reminder that even in a system designed for precision and uniformity, beauty and value can emerge from chaos. And for those of us who love the thrill of discovery, the 2003 D1 cent is not just a coin, it is a legend, a modern-day miracle, and a powerful incentive to keep looking closely at every coin we encounter, because hidden among the billions could be another error, another mystery, and another treasure waiting to be found. So whether you're a seasoned collector or just getting started, let the story of the 2003 D1 cent inspire you to stay curious, stay observant, and never stop believing in the extraordinary possibilities hiding in the most ordinary places. And if you found this deep dive into one of the rarest pennies in history engaging, don't forget to follow along as we continue exploring the world's most valuable coins, incredible mistakes, and the stories that prove true wealth often begins with a simple cent. Last 2017 P1 cent USA coin, hidden treasures are uncovered from the pockets of everyday life, where ordinary objects reveal extraordinary stories, and where rare coins become legends worth millions. And today, we're diving into one of the most unbelievable discoveries in modern coin history, a story so incredible it feels like it belongs in fiction, yet it is grounded in solid numismatic fact. And it all begins with a simple 1-cent coin from the year 2017, bearing the rarely seen Philadelphia Mint Mark P, which, in itself, was a historic first, marking the 225th anniversary of the United States Mint and becoming the only year in which the cent bore a P mint mark for Philadelphia, a detail that would already make this coin interesting for collectors. But what makes this specific 2017 P cent an astronomical phenomenon valued at an astonishing $192 million is not just its commemorative significance, but the unbelievable array of minting errors, mechanical flaws, planchette anomalies, and die misalignments that combined in a way so unique, so visually dramatic, and so impossibly rare that this coin defies all standard classification and has carved a place in the pantheon of elite numismatic artifacts. And while most 2017 P pennies were produced in massive numbers with modern minting technology meant to eliminate errors, this one particular cent somehow slipped through the cracks of quality control and emerged bearing a collection of mistakes so extensive and layered that even veteran collectors were left speechless upon its discovery. And the first thing that struck experts when analyzing this coin was its weight, coming in slightly heavier than the standard 2.5 grams expected from a copper-plated zinc cent. It showed signs of a planchette intended either for foreign coinage or a transitional blank from pre-year 1982 stock, suggesting a mix-up at the blanking stage that allowed a heavier alloy to be struck, a possibility made more intriguing by the coin's unusual coloration, a deeper reddish-brown with subtle golden undertones not typical of modern cents, and this off-metal appearance immediately drew suspicion that something extraordinary had occurred, and under high magnification, the anomalies only grew more significant, beginning with a major double die obverse error, one of the clearest and most dramatic examples seen in the 21st century, with the motto, "In God We Trust," and the date 2017 showing strong doubling visible even to the naked eye, giving the coin an unmistakable and eerie shadowed effect that adds both visual appeal and tremendous numismatic value. and moving across the obverse, Lincoln's portrait itself appears distorted not due to wear or damage, but as a result of die deterioration and strike doubling, producing a ghost-like outline that many collectors refer to as the phantom bust look, with two sets of features, eyelids, jawlines, and bow tie outlines, creating a multi-image effect that's typically only seen in coins with both hub doubling and strike misalignment working in tandem, and that's exactly what makes this coin unique, because it doesn't just suffer from one type of error, but several simultaneously. And as we turn to the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial appears heavily skewed, with columns misaligned and some of the letters in United States of America shifted so drastically they appear as if melting into the rim. A clear indication of an off-center strike combined with die misalignment and possible die rotation, confirmed by the rotated axis between obverse and reverse of nearly 45 degrees, a rare and dramatic occurrence in modern minting. And if that weren't enough, the coin also shows a spectacular die clash, where the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchet in place, leaving ghostly images of the memorial's top steps visible on Lincoln's jawline and neck. And these features add an otherworldly quality to the coin, almost as if two realities were pressed into one, a metaphor that collectors absolutely love because it visually encapsulates the chaos and randomness that led to this coin's creation. And then comes the pièce de résistance, a massive retained cud at the rim above the word liberty, where part of the die broke off but remained attached, creating a jagged, raised blob of metal that covers nearly 1/5 of the obverse rim, distorting the surrounding design and adding a dramatic, almost crater-like effect, which not only enhances visual appeal but also confirms that the die was catastrophically damaged during the coin's production, and the retained cud is surrounded by spiderweb-like die cracks that extend across Lincoln's head and into the field, further demonstrating the severe die stress present at the time of striking. And these are not just minor cracks but full-blown fissures that indicate the die was near total failure. And that's extremely rare to see in modern coins where dies are replaced well before such advanced deterioration. And as the coin made its way into circulation, it was somehow preserved by chance, discovered by a sharp-eyed collector who immediately noticed its strange weight and odd coloration, and who had the insight to submit it for certification, where it underwent extensive testing including metallurgical analysis, die clash mapping, die state comparisons, strike pressure evaluations, and axis rotation confirmation, all of which confirmed the presence of no fewer than 7 distinct mint errors, each one rare in its own right, but together on one coin, creating an ultra-rarity that simply has no known equal from this era. And the numismatic world was stunned when this coin debuted at a high-profile private auction, sparking a bidding war that saw museum representatives, elite collectors, and institutional investors driving the price higher and higher until it ultimately sold for a mind-melting $192 million, making it one of the most valuable coins ever sold and certainly the most valuable Lincoln cent in modern history. And since that sale, the 2017 p-cent has become a symbol of hidden value in plain sight, proof that even in the age of digital money and automated minting, miracles still happen. And this single cent has rewritten what collectors believe is possible, with grading agencies now updating their standards to account for composite errors like those found on this coin, and collectors everywhere are now scouring their change roll hunting with renewed enthusiasm, and flooding online communities with photos and theories in hopes of discovering something even remotely close to the now iconic 2017 P Ultra era, which has earned nicknames such as the Liberty Collapse, the Phantom Cent, and the P Miracle, and its influence extends beyond hobbyists as well, with the US Mint reportedly using this coin as a case study in internal memos about quality control, die life management, and mint mark experimentation, especially since the use of the P mark was itself an experiment for that year only, adding a layer of historical intrigue to a coin already bursting with numismatic significance. And educational programs have sprung up around its study, with numismatic academies and coin clubs using it as a teaching tool to demonstrate the intersection of mechanical failure, human oversight, and historical context. And even now, years after its discovery, the 2017 p-cent continues to inspire a new generation of collectors who see in it the perfect storm of value, a coin that was never meant to exist in its current form, yet somehow came into being, survived circulation, and became one of the greatest discoveries in coin collecting history. And what makes it all the more fascinating is that it was hiding in plain sight, not in a museum, not in a vault, but in a world where people spend pennies without a second thought. And so let this story be a powerful reminder to everyone watching that the next $1 million coin might be sitting in your pocket right now. waiting for someone to recognize its worth. And if you enjoyed this incredible deep dive into the wild world of minting mistakes, mechanical errors, and numismatic marvels, be sure to stay with us as we continue exploring the coins that change lives and rewrite history, because the next great discovery could be just 1 cent away.